same energy into your child. You better and leave grown folks alone now. Yeah, you better. Get hit in your head. You don't want to come down to Florida with that bullshit. Anyway, child, while you out here in these streets and smoke shop embarrassing the pastor. Church people say they sick of you too, girl, and they're just dropping that baby on his head. They need to be attended to your untreated, undiagnosed baby and your undiagnosed mental health issues. Tia said what needed to be said. And you know, I back my Scorpio sister up 100% because you need to do that. And please, you need to come and get the child. Don't make me call Tia. Better get Tia on the line. See if we can get Tia to see if she come over here. The person who you cussed out is the person you need. You need professional help. An ambulance. Police and ambulance. Guidance. Get you some bitch before your child gets snatched and your ass be in jail without the bail looking like your baby daddy with tattoos over your face. Reader people find you guilty of being a dumb, stupid bitch and an unfit mother. Yeah, go to we people order you to be sitting in Iran with your mom taking a child, go to get him a Tia so he can be raised right.
I'm getting him a
okay? One thing a Scorpio gonna do is we gonna raise some children. In that
That's a funny shit. Hey, testicles 1 2 3, testicles 1 2 3, inmate deck. Testicles 1 2 3, inmate deck. So I'm gonna say this now. I still got a hater on YouTube. Someone who done followed me or subscribed to me, and they must have been inside the club, and then they left the club, so now they hating from outside the club because they can't get back in the club or they scared to get back in the club. Hey, I appreciate you for giving me them thumbs down on YouTube on them 2 last videos. I appreciate them thumbs down. You really helping me out with the views and the ratings. You know that all calculates to something, so I really appreciate it. It doesn't knock me down. It's not gonna stop me from posting and streaming. So the best you can do is keep doing whatever you're doing, because I really appreciate it. Or you can just unsubscribe. But hey, you know, people gonna do what people do. I just appreciate you taking your time to waste your time on me. I really appreciate you taking your time to waste your time on me. I really appreciate it. Or is it the other way around? Either way, I appreciate you taking out the time of your day to de-appreciate me. And it's giving me all the appreciation. It just makes me go harder. So you can start seeing me on TV and all the award shows and hosting and shit. Then I really want you to be upset. They can't get rid of me. That's when I'll really be mad. But if you're still subscribed, I appreciate you. You're added onto my subscribers list. You know what I'm saying? You're still added to the count. So the count's just gonna keep going up along with you in there. You know what I'm saying? You keep thumbs down. It seems like it gets counteract with a thumbs up. So you know. It's folks who be fucking with me, then it's folks who don't fuck with me, and that's totally fine. Each his own. Too bad you hide in the shadows and behind the screen, you know, but hey, you know, each his own, each his own. Came from outside of the club and can't even get in. It probably used to be in the club. It probably used to be in. You know, it's all good though. Shout out to the haters, they're the biggest motivators. Y'all just got me on the game even more today. Yes, Lord. People are so funny. Let's get back to the stories and whatnot. I guess you're wondering where I've been. Somebody is upset. set with me to go view, give me the view, and then go dislike. You put all your time and effort for that. That is so kind of you. Oh my gosh. How very thoughtful that you thought of me to go look at my videos and give it a thumb down. That is so very thoughtful. People are so kind. Folks are so kind. Oh, look. So beautiful. Oh.
True stories that will keep you up at night. I used to work as a farmhand / horse trainer assistant. One day it was just me at the farm, and it was kind of drizzling, so I decided to work horses on the lounge line. It's a long line, and you exercise the horse in circles around you for non-horse people in the indoor arena. Well, I get through about 4 of the horses on the list for the day and take a particularly calm horse down to get him a light workout. Out of the corner of my eye, I think I see someone walk by the human-sized door. I figure it's just a figment of my imagination, and I keep going. Well, I see it again, but going in the other direction this time. I keep going, but keep an eye on the door. The next time I saw it, the horse I was working with was going by the door, jumping sideways away from it, and making a loud snorting noise. This horse doesn't spook it much. He'll walk by a trampoline with children jumping on it and being loud with 0 issues. So now I'm starting to panic
oh my gosh,
obviously,
T1, shout out to the legend
T1.
I appreciate you so much blessing me with your presence.
So he can catch his breath and cool off before I put him back. I grab a dressage whip and call my boyfriend. By the time my boyfriend shows up, I have the horse cooled down, and we get him back in his stall and take a walk around the outside of the arena. There are footprints in the wet grass going all the way around the outside of the arena.
Hope you're having a great stream, bro.
Someone was skulking around and definitely did not want to be seen. The worst part of it was that a lady in a nearby town was murdered in her own barn with a fire poker about 3 months later. I don't think they are connected, and whoever it was never came back that I'm aware of. Just the fact that there was some potential sicko wandering around for who knows how long doing who knows what was terrifying in the moment and had me on edge for a long time after. I didn't like being there alone after that experience. This was just a few months ago, but I still cannot explain it at all. I have a cat who is pretty much fully grown and stays at home while I am at work. I am gone from about 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. almost every day. He has always had a playful side to him, and I would find paw prints and stuff on the counters when I got home. No big deal. He would always wait for me when I got home and greet me when I walked in the door, except for one day I got home and couldn't find him for the life of me, which was odd. So I kept calling his name, and I started to hear a faint meow coming from the kitchen. I start looking for him in cupboards, thinking he got himself stuck. I still couldn't find him, but I could hear him meowing. Eventually, I said screw it and started opening everything. I found him stuck in a regular drawer that you put silverware in. Not an actual cupboard, but a very small drawer. Mind you, he is about 14 pounds. He is not a small cat. He did not fit in the drawer. I pulled him out, and he essentially ran and hid immediately. I tried investigating to see if he had somehow weaseled his way into the drawer from the cupboard underneath, but there was simply no way. He was way too big to fit
Let
in
me give you a
unless he had
shout
been
out.
shoved in
Hold
there.
on, I just gave
He was also
211.
facing towards the front of the drawer, which would have made it impossible for him to pull the drawer open, jump in, and somehow have it slide close to him. To this day, I have no fucking idea how he got in there. I called the management of my apartment and asked who had been in my apartment that day.
Prestige
to which they said
56,
no one
let's
had.
fucking go!
Maintenance, nothing. No one from the management was even in the building the entire day. I even tried putting him in there myself and closing it, but he just doesn't even fit. You would literally have to pin him down and slam it shut with him in there, and he would be stuck there without being able to move. What I think is that someone was in my apartment that day. I lock my door every damn day, and I put him in there. It is a scary thought, but that is the only thing I can think of. Nothing was missing, and I didn't notice anything out of place. I bought a security camera that night,
Hey,
and
shout out to whoever disliking my videos on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. It just boosted me some likes on there, so I appreciate y'all looking at it, taking the time to waste your time on me. I really appreciate y'all.
I was young, about 18 at the time, and the company I worked for at the
back,
time just parked at our boss's
disliking my
house and used
videos,
company
whoever
vehicles
you
to
are.
drive around. So I was
Thank you very much. It just gave me all the sauce, juice, everything, motivation. We going in. We on that. We on that.
I didn't know what to do.
God, a fucking hater.
Pondering for a moment.
Well, they must love me. They still watching you.
He's usually gone camping on Fridays. It was just me there. So I get out and check the shop door in his house. They're all locked. He lived in the country, so there were no close neighbors. I peeked in the shop windows, but nothing. I went home feeling very uneasy all weekend. Monday morning came, and everyone at work was there and fine. I never told anyone this. I'm not sure if I actually heard that or not now. When I was 8, and my brother was 6, my mom picked us up from school one day. When we got home, my mom had forgotten her keys, so she knocked on the door for my grandma to let us in. Now architecture is super important to the story. We lived in a very well-to-do apartment building on the 8th floor, where each floor was a long rectangle with a single apartment on each end, so 2 apartments per floor. In the middle of the rectangle on each floor, there was a single elevator. The building was essentially all glass. There were no external fire staircases or ladders, and the nearest structure was another building an entire block away. Okay, so we knock on the door. My grandma yells from the inside, "I'm coming." So we wait, and we wait. 1 minute, nothing. So we knock again. Again, my grandma, I said I was coming. 3 minutes, then 5. She still isn't opening the door, even though we can clearly hear her in the kitchen inside the house, so we are getting pissed. We knock, and she just keeps on saying the same thing. I said I was coming. I'm coming right now. 10 minutes later, the elevator opens behind us, and out comes my grandma. The apartment had been empty the entire time. It's been 20 years since then, and my mom, brother, and I all clearly remember talking to that voice that sounded exactly like my grandma. Zero explanation. My grandma is still alive, BTW. When I lived in Texas and was in the 2nd grade, I was waiting outside of my elementary school for my mom to come pick me up.
Shit.
She was late, as she often was, so I was one of the last kids there. This would have been the very early 90s, so people were a lot more lax. At some point, the teacher went inside to go do something with another kid. A middle-aged woman in a blue minivan pulled up and rolled down her window and said that my mom had sent her to get me and bring me home. I thought it was weird that she didn't know me by name, so I went inside to ask my teacher what I should do. By the time we got back outside, she was gone, and my mom arrived a few minutes later. That lady was totally going to kidnap me, and I probably would have been smuggled across the Mexican border and sold, murdered, or something. My boyfriend was stressed out from work, and we hadn't really spent a lot of quality time together recently, so I organized a romantic getaway to a nearby lake. We stayed in a cozy, small inn above a pub that had a fireplace on at night and the owner's dog chilling next to it. It was close to Christmas and absolutely idyllic. In the afternoon, we went to a nearby luxury hotel and spa to use the sauna, and when we got out, we went into a bar that had bonfires installed in the middle of every table. There were only a few guests in the hotel, and most of them were locals just coming for food. The luxury hotel was a beautiful old mansion, and I especially loved the gigantic Christmas tree in its lobby. I regretted that we didn't pay a little more and stayed in that hotel altogether. 2 weeks later, the luxury hotel burned down. The fire killed a young couple on a romantic getaway, just like us. The Christmas tree had caught fire. It still gives me chills to this day how this beautiful tree ended up killing 2 people just days later.
So here's the deal. Bridget sent me money when I had an emergency.
My bills were due, and I needed cash now. I'm so glad I downloaded Bridget.
I can get $50 to $250 just in time.
Well, just days later. When I was 19, I was admitted to the hospital with a raging kidney infection. My fever was so high that it could have killed me if I didn't seek treatment. My heart rate and blood pressure were so out of whack that they initially thought I had a heart attack. So what I'm getting at is that I was incredibly dumb. So the day I was admitted, it was taking forever for a doctor to come see me after I had a room. My friend who had driven me was keeping me company. At the foot of my bed, I suddenly see my nanny, who had been dead for about 15 years at that point. She wasn't transparent. She looked as solid as my friend. She was dressed in one of her signature muumuus, just smiling at me. This scared the shit out of me, as I've heard so many stories of people having dead loved ones come to escort them to the other side when they're dying. So just as suddenly as she appeared, she was gone. I asked my friend if she saw anything, and she said no, but she had been looking down at a textbook or something. I understand that I was ill, and it could have been a hallucination. Every time I tell this story, I get comments from skeptics telling me that, of course, it was a hallucination. But it got weirder. Finally, after sitting in that room for 8 to 10 hours, the doctor who was going to be the lead on my case came in to introduce himself. This man looked exactly like my papi, the also deceased husband of my nanny, whom I had just seen within the hour. When my mom eventually came to see me, I was away at college, which was a 4-ish hour drive from my mom's house. She literally couldn't speak at first when she met my doctor. She was also flabbergasted that he looked like he could have been her dead father's twin. So again, I know this could have been a hallucination, and the weird coincidence that the doctor looked exactly like my mom.
Come
I really
on,
don't think
Skater
it
Dude
was,
42.
though. I'd like to think all my deceased loved ones had a chat like, okay, we see that her doctor is a dead ringer for Poppy. Let's set Poppy's wife, Nani, to show her that everything is going to be alright. So, like I said, it's less terrifying now that I didn't die. I think it's a really sweet story that shows that love transcends death. Last summer, I was staying in a hotel room in Paris with my sister and her friend. They had a double bed, and I had this sofa bed nearest the TV. We were all exhausted from walking around Paris, so we went to sleep pretty early. At about 1 in the morning, the TV suddenly switched on at full
Oh,
volume.
come back and finish this gin!
Scared the shit out of all of us. I jumped onto their bed and looked around for the remote, but it was nowhere. The whole time we had been there, we hadn't seen the remote or even touched the TV. Eventually, they forced me to go up to the TV to turn it on.
Oh, I put a trap on it! Unless he hit it.
No one else is around for kilometers. In the middle of the night, as we're sitting around the fire, we start hearing something walk towards us. Some random girl slowly walks out of the bush into the clearing and comes towards us. Have you seen my friends? It was so eerie the way she said friends. All of us are weirded out, and someone managed to say, no. Then she smiles and says, oh, okay, and continues walking back into the bush, but not the way she came. We all decided to keep drinking until the sun came up. Fuck going to sleep with the wandering devil lady waiting in the bushes. 2 years ago, I was planning on moving to Canada with my wife. We used to live in Venezuela. As you know, 2 years ago, it wasn't as bad as it is right now, but it was bad. Anyways, we were living in our parents' houses, switching every week from house to house because we didn't have a home. Who could afford a home in Venezuela? Nobody. We planned everything to go to Canada. We had everything ready. My wife had paid for the university and everything. She was going to study graphic design. We had the place we were going to reach. We had everything. But they fucking rejected us in less than 2 hours. Now, this probably isn't scary per se, but our situation was horrible for us. We put all of our savings on hold. My wife ate every 2 days, and that day I had not eaten for at least 40 hours. So we had only the money to eat one pizza every month, and I say pizza because it was the cheapest. Now my wife is crying. I want to cry because I'm mad, but I want my wife to stop crying, so I try to be strong. Now I have to tell our parents that we were rejected and that a 5-month effort that included a marriage was for nothing. The scariest part is not that, but the part where you don't have any clue what you're going to do with your life and you're going to live in a terrible country forever. I actually have stories that sound scarier when I tell them. But this is the tale of the most terrified I have been in my life. The situation was scarier to me than any other story I could tell. This happened a bit over a decade ago, in the summer of 2006. First, a description of the house. We had a long, 1/4 mile or so, driveway, living on almost 4 acres. We could see our neighbors easily, but we were not close at all. When you get to the front door, it was a pair of double doors with most of the door being glass, about a 4 inches or maybe 6 inches wooden frame around all 4 sides, with a big window in each door, plus narrow side windows to either side of the door, also starting about 4 inches to 6 inches up and going to the same height as the windows in the door. Opening the doors, there are stairs going to the second floor right in front of you. Well, right in front of the left side door. To the right was a small, formal living room. The stairs up were floating planks of wood, so you could see through them to the other side, into the informal family room. From the family room, immediately under the stairs to the second floor, were the stairs down into the basement. At the bottom of those stairs was a bedroom I used as my office. There was no need to describe the rest of the house for this tale, though there were some oddities and spookiness that had happened in various other places inside. At this point, my wife and I were certain the house was haunted. At least 2, probably 3, and maybe even 4 different ghosts, based on feel and personality, were there. They were not a constant presence, and it felt like 2 of them liked us both and were generally benign or sometimes even beneficial. One seemed to like me and dislike my wife, and another was the opposite and seemed to like her and dislike me. The 2 nice ones may have been just one who had different moods, or they may have been the other 2 but were just sometimes okay with both of us, or whatever it was. Neither my wife nor I ever ceased to feel more than 2 at a time, which is why we weren't sure how many there were. And we never saw any of them, we only felt and heard them. Again, this led to us not being certain if it was 2, 3, or 4 presences. Anyway, back to the story. Up until now, nothing really bad has happened. And even this story isn't going to be all that bad, sorry for the spoiler. But we had random items disappear and or reappear, heard noises, and mostly just could feel them at certain times and in certain places. If we hadn't talked to each other about it, I am sure we would have individually passed it off as just our minds playing tricks on us. But once we talked about it, it became clear that neither of us was hallucinating. Or if we were, it was shared hallucinations. Okay, sorry, off track again. Back to the story. This evening, my wife was out of town, visiting friends about 90 minutes away, but gone for the night, going to stay the night at their place. I am in my office working, and I hear a loud rumbling. My first guess is that a delivery truck just pulled up on my driveway and sounded like a big diesel engine. I started saving what I was working on and getting ready to go upstairs, and the noise got louder. By the time I was walking up the stairs to the main level, it sounded like a semi, and I mean a big and loud semi, was in my driveway. This has happened for some deliveries in the past, but I wasn't expecting anything like that, so it seemed exceedingly odd. As I started up the stairs, it got even louder, to the point where I was honestly considering if a helicopter might be landing in my yard, and why that would happen. The walls were vibrating slightly. Pictures were bouncing against the walls, not wildly, but enough that it was an audible and visible addition to the rumbling. At this point, I was almost halfway up the steps. I started to move faster and looked back over my shoulder, through the floating steps above me, and out the window in the door. My view wasn't perfect because of the angle and the steps blocking a portion of it. But I saw black shoes, black or dark brown socks, and brown work pants. My mind immediately registered, oh, it's the UPS guy. What the heck is he driving that is so loud? And I turned back forward and dashed up the rest of the steps. As I got to the top and was about to turn around
that is Dead by Daylight 2v8, everybody. Woo!
First, I should not have been able to see shoes. There was 4 inches or 6 inches of wood at the base